Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Madisonville Marine. Boating season is winding down, so now's the time to be looking ahead. For the best price, the best selection of boats, and the best customer service for years and years and years, visit Joe Special and the team at Madisonville Marine. Since 1976, there's been no better place to buy a boat. madmarine.com. All right, it's all over social media. ESPN just announced that College Game Day will be in Knoxville next week before the Tennessee-Florida game. And then, of course, I'm sure you already know this. Chuck will reiterate it later, but Tennessee did get the 3:30 slot on CBS, too. So the nation's eyes are turned to you, Knoxville and the Vols. Josh Heupel was given a $1 million raise this past week. His deal was extended a year through 2028. His assistant coaches all received raises and extensions as well. Josh Heupel is now 10-6 at Tennessee. He has the number 11 recruiting class in the country, according to 24/7 Sports, and he just packed the house for Akron. So all that's good. But he is just 5-6 against Power 5 opponents since he's been here. I'll start with Bob. Was Tennessee right to give him the extension and the raise, or are they following in the footsteps of Danny White's predecessors?
They were wrong to give him an extension and a raise. I don't mind the raise as much as I do the extension because it's too early. I like Josh Heupel. I like his coaching staff. I like what they've done. It's just too early to be doing that with this guy. Let's wait to the end of the season. Before the season, I said 7-5. Okay, I think I was wrong. I think they're going to be a better football team than that. But what if they're not? What if they're not? Yeah. What if I just think it's too early. Why don't you let somebody complete? It's like the guy at Kansas right now. People are talking about him. Oh my goodness gracious, he's got to go to Nebraska. He's coached just as many games at Kansas as Josh Heupel has at Tennessee, and you're already touting him. I just think these things happen too quick, too early, and Tennessee, of all places, knows how it bites you in the butt.
Well, Jeremy Pruitt. I mean, Heupel still has the deal in his contract that if the NCAA comes back and smacks Tennessee pretty good, he gets an automatic year added on to that. I just don't know what the necessity was at this point because worst case scenario, I don't think this is going to happen, but worst case scenario, you got Florida, LSU, and Alabama coming up. What's the buzz around town going to be if you drop all three of those? Yeah. I mean, I just thought it was a little – I like him. I think he's got it going in the right direction. Yeah, giving it to him in game 2 of year 2 seemed a little odd to me. Gentlemen, you disagree? You cool with it? You think they did the right thing?
I'm more conservative in your camp, but they actually gave it to him in July.
And just announced it now.
Yeah. They gave it to him before the season started. The length of it concerns me. I don't know how many of these contracts actually work out. Saban's worked out, right? Okay. Well, what's A&M think about Jimbo Fisher's deal? Yeah. You got too many of those deals out there, so I thought the number of years he had on the contract were fine. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I didn't see a need to do it now. Do I think he's done a great job? Absolutely. But I would have wanted to see more of a sample size.
And are you okay with the raise, but the extension's what bothers me more too?
Yeah, I'm okay with giving him some more money.
I'm okay with the money.
Just to be committed that long I would be more conservative.
Josh, Will, is it too soon to move? Or
past history says absolutely it's too soon to move. I mean, we've had this too many times where you had a coach, they had a good season, they show some momentum, and then it all comes crashing down. And you talk about this. Now you have game day, you have fans' hype building up, and now you've announced the raise right before Florida. It's like a perfect setup of what the Tennessee fan has done over the last several times. And so not having to go through that game and go through the season showing you've taken steps forward, you see a lot of good things, but still past history just says, man, can we hold this off for another year before we put it out there?
Yeah, I think that's maybe the uncomfortable part is the natural anxiety that comes with what this time of the season is. So the timing is the weirder part. The raise, he's still 11th in the SEC. So I think fans are going to argue he's underpaid even with the raise. The extension, I think that's part of the odd business that is college football. So the contract itself, I have no issues. If he wins next week, then he is absolutely underpaid. But Tennessee fans know all the history of the last 10 to 15 years with what's happened with contracts, and that's the That's the concern that will naturally come.
Yeah, I'm with Bob. I don't care about the raise. It's the extension, especially when you have that NCAA clause sitting there. There's something goes wrong with them, and we still don't know what they're going to do. You never can tell what the NCAA is going to do. If you get smacked, he's already got another year built onto that thing. So now you're throwing it, or have they changed that?
Well, the NCAA has indicated they're not going to give a postseason ban. That's where I think the extra year came in. I think I'm right about that. So I don't think that's at play
So
right
there's no
now.
longer the clause in there? Okay.
Correct, but they could, and even if they hit them with some scholarship reductions, I don't think that was a part of it. I may be wrong, but I think that's correct.
Okay. Well, it's just the extension to me seems unnecessary at this point. I don't see him being a flight risk right now. I'm not seeing him on watch lists. I know Tennessee fans are like, well, Nebraska come after him. Nebraska's talking about Urban Meyer. They just failed with Scott Frost. Why would they go get the guy who wasn't as good as Scott Frost when he replaced Scott Frost at UCF? I don't see that happening. He's not a flight risk. You don't need the extension.
Right.
That said, I'm happy. I think everybody here is happy with what he's done.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. We've seen this
Yeah,
movie before.
It's history. If you hadn't been burned by this a
Yes.
couple of times, you'd probably be like, this is a good deal.
Right.
But you've had recent history that has burned you over and over again that tells you, I'm going to be nervous around this.
All right. When we come back, we are going to be talking about which position groups have made the most progress from last year. Also, Josh Ward over here is going to show you a stat about Tennessee's defense that could make you wary of Anthony Richardson. It's interesting. Come on back on the Sports Source.